Hi, it's Matthew here and welcome to another tasting video from Simply Spanish Wine. And today we're taking a look at a new wine in our range, Rayuelo. This is a 100% Bobal from the Altolandon winery in a denominación de origen, in a wine growing area that you may not know yet, called Manchuela. And Manchuela is kind of sandwiched between the Mediterranean and Castilla-La Mancha. It's about 3 hours drive east of Madrid and about an hour inland from Valencia, and it's a fairly large denominación. It stretches from the province of Cuenca in the north down to almost to Albacete in the south, and it's home to some really interesting grapes, including the Bobal grape. Now, Bobal is a grape with a lot of history. It was traditionally used as a wine for making bulk wines back in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Lots of colour, nice thick skin, so it's resistant to drought, and it was used to add to other grapes to make bulk wine, which was then exported to France, because France at the time had a very well, still does, quite a large per capita wine consumption figure. And a lot of the wine that was made in Spain in bulk ended up in France. So that was sort of the history of Bobal. It was also exported to Buenos Aires. Carlon, the wine Carlon, was exported from the port of Benicarló to Buenos Aires, and that was made fundamentally out of the Bobal grape. Nowadays, of course, Bobal is really coming into its own as a grape that deserves to be bottled by itself. This particular Bobal is made in the highest part of the denominación, Altolandon, right up in the top right-hand corner of the denominación de origen of Manchuela. These vines were planted between 70 and 100 years ago at about 1,100 meters above sea level, so some of the highest vineyards in Spain. And what all that altitude does is it, apart from the very fresh, cooling winds, which really aerate the vines, keeping them nice and healthy, that brings down the need for chemical pesticides, which means that wines like this, in fact all the wines in the Altolandon range, they're certified organic. So no chemical pesticides used during their production. But all that altitude, what it also does is it enables the grapes to ripen very steadily and very evenly. It allows all the flavours and the complex aromas to develop naturally, while at the same time locking in that all-important acidity. So we'll give it a taste. It's nice deep purple with a crimson rim. It's not that clear. That's because this is an organic wine. It hasn't been fined or filtered either at the end, so it's not as slightly cloudier than you might expect. It's got a lovely Mediterranean-y nose. You can get sort of pine needles in there, Mediterranean herbs, a little bit of menthol on the nose, and then there's some sort of red fruit behind it, some mature plum and blackcurrant. Now in the mouth, that's lovely. It's a lovely broad mouthfeel in the mouth. It's a little bit more fruit on the mouth perhaps than the herbal notes that we got on the nose. It's got that lovely bracing acidity from all of the altitude that we mentioned before. Now this wine is made in the winery Altolandon, and then it's made in standard inox tanks, stainless steel tanks. It's then put into barrels. It goes into 300-litre used French oak barrels, and it stays in there for 8 months. So it's been aged on French wood for 8 months. And you get a little bit of that on the nose and on the palate as well. Some cedar notes and more slightly vanilla-y notes from the wood. It's a lovely medium to long finish. That's a delicious wine. It's a delicious wine. It's like it's quite rustic, but at the same time it's quite elegant. It's proud of its rural origins, but at the same time it hasn't got any hard edges. It's a very elegant wine at the same time. That would go extremely well with charcuterie, meat dishes, rice. It's a great example of the Bobal grape. If you haven't tried it, thoroughly recommend it. Rayuelo, the 2015 vintage from the Altolandon winery in Dio Manchuela. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you again soon here on Simply Spanish Wine. Bye for now.